I'm Ash Kalra, State Assembly Member representing District 25 here in San Jose.
Dave Cortese, State Senator, Senate District 15, which is primarily San Jose. Well, typically at this level, showing up, in support or opposition to a bill, and there are many, many ways to do that. This job is a little different than when I was in local government because mostly what we do is introduce bills or vote on other people's bills, or deal with budget, which are sort of equal tasks really over the course of the year. So, given the fact that there's a couple thousand bills that come through every year or more, and each one of us has 20 or more per year, typically, just using the portal to come in and indicate support as individuals, whereas stakeholders in the community, institutional kind of groups, really makes a difference. All of that becomes part of the bill analysis. The bill analysis for each bill is updated continuously over the course of the year, especially after going to committees. So committee after committee, staff does that work. And then, for floor votes, we also get an updated analysis. So each and every time, those constituent preferences, if you will, positions are looked at not only by each staff of each legislator, but by the legislators themselves ultimately, before voting.
Mm-hmm. In terms of engagement or connecting with us as legislators, I mean, it depends on the legislator, quite honestly. I receive correspondence in a wide range of ways. I handle much of my social media, so I can get messages, direct messages of a constituent that has a neighborhood issue. I get text messages and phone calls, certainly to work, but sometimes if someone has my cell phone, even through my cell phone, I meet people at events all the time. And I get through secondhand. So in other words, a friend of a friend might say, hey, I have a friend that's going through something, or a family member that needs some help. And of course, we also have our own, and the most effective way is our own portal through our assembly website that actually is designed for constituent services. But I get, folks reaching out to me in a wide range of ways. And so I really try to, when I get that information, send it right away to my staff so they can follow up.
A petition's good. From my perspective, a petition's good and important because it demonstrates effort. It's not like you can just create a petition with artificial intelligence or a copy machine. I mean, somebody had to go out and actually get signatures on that. And, if you see 5,000 signatures or 2,000 signatures on a petition, for example, that's impressive. It's problematic in that it's very difficult for the legislator to get back to you as an individual. Most of the time, the petition isn't going to have that kind of contact information, and it's going to be a little overwhelming for the average legislative office that has a few staff members respond to constituent mail and so forth to try to get back to everyone. So at best, you might get a response, thank you for the petition, we'll keep it under advisement. But it's certainly impressive. The least impressive thing and the least effective thing is, we call them template letters or template communications. They could be email, they could be postcards, snail mail postcards, they could be anything. They could be text messages. And what that looks like typically is, hi, I'm John. I oppose SB 333. This is bad for California. Period. So we have no way to get back to John. We don't really know who John is. We don't even really know which part of the state John lives in, if they're from our district. I mean, this is real. We get these all the time. Sometimes we if they come in by email, we'll have an email, but oftentimes it's a no reply kind of an email. It's a some sort of a generated email, mass email system. Those aren't effective. To be honest with you, we look at a couple of those and basically just disregard them because if they're coming in mass, again, a couple thousand at a time, there's no way we can respond. The most effective are handwritten letters, word process letters with an ink signature. Whether they have one signature or multiple, that's still a little bit better. Letters that aren't replicated over and over again in terms of their content, unique content, even if it's only somewhat unique, even if it's based on a general opinion. We don't like this bill because it's going to increase our PG&E rates, our electrical rates. We don't like this bill because it's going to damage our climate efforts. Figure out a way to say that in multiple different ways. Don't just pass around the same paragraph and ask people to send it. Hey, here's a template letter. Please send it to and here's the addresses of your legislators. Please send it in to them. We see that immediately. We see that it's a template, and it becomes unclear to us if the person cares about the issue enough to actually put the effort into expressing a unique opinion. So I'm not sure AI is ever going to work really well with legislators in terms of helping to generate any kind of petitioning of government, not just petitions, but form letters or anything else, because I think there's a lot of legislators who are like me that tend to disregard anything that looks like there's not an invitation for two-way communication. The most powerful thing that you can do, ultimately, regardless of the mode of communication, is suggesting two-way communication. Ask a question. Every single person that writes a letter here that asks a question individually gets a response. And our response, and everyone who makes a call and asks a question gets a return call by somebody within 48 hours. Otherwise, something broke down here. We really strive for 24 hours. Sometimes the response will be, we got your message. The senator's going to take a look at that. We're forwarding it to him. We'll get back to you. And we will get back to them. Or we understand that you're having a problem getting your unemployment claim paid through the EDD. We can't solve that right this second, but we're going to get back to you. Give us a day or two. When someone poses an inquiry, I think it's the most effective way to communicate directly with a legislator. And I learned that myself at 10 years old. I wrote a letter to my congressman. I was living out in a prune orchard in the Evergreen area of San Jose. And I got a letter back, but I asked several questions in the letter I wrote, which happened to question the equity in the draft during the Vietnam War. And I wanted to know how it worked and what the criteria was for drafting individuals. As I saw some of the farm workers that were working side by side with us out in those days, go off to war and not come back. And they seem to be disproportionately represented in the draft. But you can ask those questions. Don't just act like you know the answer already, because the legislator's going to look at that and say, well, I guess this person already knows everything they need to know. They hate this law. They hate this bill. Okay, thank you. But I think I hate this law, but I'm unclear as to whether or not the intent of it is to make people not have to work, and is that why you're giving them guaranteed income? You know, that's great bait for a response. And we don't want to let anyone, if that's not our intent, go away, you know, with a misunderstanding.